My boyfriend tried to kill himself after cheating on me. Sorry if this is long as fuck, but the last 48 hours have been the most tumultuous, heart-wrenching, and soul-crushing of my life. I'm 22 and my boyfriend is 21. For almost 2 years, we've been inseparable, our lives entwined in what felt like an unbreakable bond. From the moment we first got together, I knew this was different. He was different. He wasn't just my boyfriend. He was my best friend, my confidant, the one person who understood me like no one else ever had. We met through his sister, who's been my best friend since 6th grade. She always told me he had a crush on me, and almost 2 years ago, we finally shared our first kiss. It felt like everything clicked into place, like I had found the person I was meant to spend my life with. Since then, it's been nothing short of a dream, until now. 2 days ago, that dream turned into a nightmare. It started like any other day, but when he told me we needed to talk, I felt this cold dread settle in the pit of my stomach. I tried to prepare myself for the worst, but nothing could have prepared me for what was coming. He took me to the park near my house, a place filled with so many happy memories. And we sat there in the car, the silence between us thick and suffocating. He looked pale, his hands trembling as he struggled to find the words. Then he dropped the bomb. He confessed that a few days ago, at his friend's going-away party, he cheated on me. Not with some random girl, but with his friend's sister, a girl he had a history with before we got together. She led him up to her room and they kissed. In that moment, it felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. My heart shattered into a million pieces, and before I knew what I was doing, I slapped him hard across the face and demanded he take me home. He didn't argue, just started the car, his face a mask of pain and regret. Cheating was the last thing I ever imagined he would do. This is a guy who has always been the most vocal, passionate critic of infidelity. Cheating in any form was unforgivable to him. It didn't matter if you were drunk, high, or heartbroken. There were no excuses in his eyes. He's seen firsthand how devastating cheating can be, how it can destroy lives, and he swore he would never, ever be that kind of person. So, for him to do this, it felt like the ultimate betrayal, not just of me, but of everything he claimed to stand for. As we drove back, the tension in the car was unbearable. He asked if I even wanted to talk about it, and I could barely contain my anger. "Fine, let's talk," I snapped, and he pulled over. He told me that they'd been drinking heavily that night. His friend's sister kept feeding him shots, one after another, until he was completely wasted. I know his history with alcohol and drugs. His parents were alcoholics. His grandparents were alcoholics. And even now, he struggles with it. Every night he has a mixed drink, and he stocks up on alcohol like it's his lifeline. His family is a mess, a broken home filled with neglect and addiction. But that night at the party, and this girl took advantage of his weakness. She lured him up to her room with the promise of more shots, and in his drunken state, he followed. She told him, "You deserve this for what you did to me." And then she kissed him. But here's the thing. He didn't push her away. He kissed her back. When I demanded to know what happened next, he admitted that. He put his hand down her pants. The fury in me exploded, and I slapped him again, harder this time, and screamed at him to take me home. I couldn't bear to hear another word. The rest of the ride was a blur of tears and screams, but all I could see was the look on his face. A look of pure, unadulterated self-loathing, like he wished he could disappear. When we finally reached my house, I got out of the car without another word and slammed the door behind me. My mind was racing, my heart pounding in my chest as I tried to process what had just happened. How could this be real? How could the person I loved, the person I trusted more than anyone in the world, betray me like this? I spent the next few hours crying until I felt like I had no tears left. The pain was unbearable, like a physical weight pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. But the worst was yet to come. A few hours later, his sister, my best friend, called me. She was beyond furious with him, but also scared. After dropping me off, he went for a walk, and when he came back, he locked himself in his room. I knew him too well. I knew what he was capable of when he was in this state. Despite everything, I was terrified he might hurt himself. I told her to check on him, and when she did, she found out he had tried to overdose on his migraine medication, washing it down with alcohol. They rushed him to the hospital, and now he's in a psychiatric ward, where he'll be for the next few days. And me? I'm drowning in a sea of conflicting emotions: anger, grief, sadness, and yes, love. I'm furious at him for what he did, but at the same time, my heart aches for the pain he's in. Pain that I still feel connected to despite everything. The day after the incident, I went to his house to grab my things, trying to distance myself from the nightmare that had become my reality. That's when I found it. I went through his phone, searching for texts that might reveal more of what happened, but instead, I stumbled upon pages and pages of notes. He had poured out his heart, his self-hatred, his overwhelming confusion about why he did this, and his disgust with himself. He wrote about how much he loves me, calling me the light of his life, the most precious thing in the world to him. Reading those words, I broke down. It was like reading the thoughts of a man tormented by his own demons, a man who knew he had destroyed the one good thing in his life and couldn't bear to live with himself. I wish I could just hate him, write him off as a piece of shit, and move on. But it's not that simple. This isn't just about us. It's about something bigger, something that's beyond our relationship. I still love him so much, and his pain feels like a weight on my chest that I can't shake off. But I know what has to happen if I'm ever going to respect myself, or have others respect me. This is a nightmare I can't wake up from. A cruel twist of fate that has shattered everything I believed in. I truly believe he was taken advantage of by this jealous, manipulative girl. And that's one of the main reasons I've been so torn. I called him today in the hospital, just to tell him that he's loved and that he needs to take care of himself. I told him, "You were taken advantage of." And in a broken voice, he replied, "But I still did it." That response hit me like a ton of bricks. When he gets out, we've decided to have one last conversation, but deep down, I think we both know what needs to happen. We need to go our separate ways and heal, to grow and mature on our own. We still love each other so much, but if we're truly meant to be, if we're soulmates, then maybe, just maybe, we'll find our way back to each other someday. Only time will tell. I've spent hours agonizing over every detail of that night, every word he wrote in those notes, trying to make sense of it all. But the truth is, there's no easy answer, no way to neatly tie up this mess of emotions. Part of me wants to scream, to rage against the unfairness of it all, while another part of me just wants to hold him, to tell him that everything will be okay, even though I know that's a lie. My friends have all told me to leave him, to cut him out of my life completely, and logically I know they're right. But the heart isn't logical, and the love I have for him isn't something that can just be turned off like a switch. I keep replaying the moment he told me, the look in his eyes as he confessed, the way his voice cracked with guilt and shame. He's always been so strong, so sure of himself, but in that moment, he was utterly broken. And seeing him like that, knowing that I was the one he had betrayed, was almost more than I could bear. I wanted to hate him, to scream at him, to make him feel the pain he had caused me. But all I could feel was this overwhelming sadness, this crushing sense of loss for the future we had planned together. We were supposed to grow old together, to build a life filled with love and laughter. We talked about getting married, about having kids, about all the adventures we would go on. And now, all of that is gone, shattered in an instant by one terrible decision. I keep asking myself why he did it, why he let that girl get to him, why he didn't just walk away. Hit that subscribe button and get ready for more wild tales like this one. Trust me, you don't want to miss out.